Good morning. I've tried everything before. Will it work for me? A question that came up yesterday, and they tried everything going from the Zoe diet to Weight Watchers to calories to low fat, you name it. And we do actually see this more often than not. And I think there's a few things I want to touch on here and just be really honest with the answer here. But number one is that it's often underrated this or not really looked at, but when it comes to things like the scales, how your clothes fit and progress, you have to have something that you measure with, right? It might be scales, it might not be scales, that's fine. It might be how your clothes fit. And if it's how your clothes fit, know that that might take some time. There's some subjectivity in that. In terms of certain times of the year, you wear different clothes, of course. But the most underrated thing is your ability to stay calm when things perhaps aren't going your way, because it's our response to that. When we're not doing what we said we do, or we've done what we said we do and not seeing results fast enough, if we throw our kind of toys out and just be like, oh, you know what, it's not working, F it, sod it. Imagine if our kids did that. We'd be like, oh, just stay calm, you know. But actually our ability to stay calm when trying something new, when doing something that's a bit different, is actually the key to success. And often this is so overlooked. And I think it's the same when it comes to a diet. There's no secret here. Now, this brings me on to the next part, in that if we can close the gap between falling off the wagon and going sod it and just getting back to it, that's going to be a key thing. Because sometimes we step on the scales, we're 3-4 pounds heavier, and we're like, oh no, it's not working. And what I want to stress on this is that if you are 3 to 4 pounds heavier, that could just be a fluctuation. It could just be a one-off measure. Are you weighing daily? Good morning, Rachel. Are you weighing daily? Could you take the average over the week and then divide by 7, so you actually have more of an average weight over the week, which is going to be more important, which is going to give you more of actually a story what's going on over the week. Like hay fever, that can mean water retention. If you take an antihistamine, that can reduce water retention. That could be fluctuating the scales. Eating lots of fibre the night before, eating a bit later the night before, then getting up in the morning. That's not body fat. It's just that we might have more food in our gut. That could mean that we fluctuate a bit more salt. And it's important to be objective with these measures. And finally, these things will take time. These things will take a lot of time. And especially when you've tried everything before, especially when you're in that stage where you're like, nothing's working. And what I will say is sometimes it's harder when you compare yourself to others who you see getting results and you're not, because there are differences in individuals. And one of the key differences, which is not talked about a lot, is that we do have some metabolic adaptation, and this can vary quite drastically, up to 20% in some people. And what we mean by that is, let's say you try and lose weight, you're in a calorie deficit. What could be happening here is actually your body's now burning 20% up to fewer calories than it was before. So we think we're in a calorie deficit, we think we're consuming the right amount of calories, but actually we're consuming too many because our body's adapting a little bit. It's not starvation mode, but it just means that it's going to be a little bit harder. Maybe could we get our steps up a little bit? Could we apply some of the small habits that I talk about in my book? If you want it for free, by the way, just comment below of habits that we can do daily, we can slot into our routine without it being a big stressful thing. Maybe we need to get a bit more aggressive with the days we're more in control of. And as hard as that is, sometimes making it a little bit harder can actually make it easier when we start to see results. So just a few things to consider there today. And just remember, close the gap between falling off the wagon and getting back to it. You'll thank yourself for that. And that could be the difference. Just not about having the perfect days. It's about getting the small little workouts in on the days that you don't feel like it, you're stressed, you're tired, doing it even when you can't be bothered. It's about looking at anything that's new. When people start Fruci Fit, can be quite nerve-wracking coming into the first session, coming in for their kickstart, setting some goals, setting some things, because you actually set parameters for success but also failure, which can be quite scary as well. Like, what if I win? What if I fail? These are all scary things, right? So anyway, I hope that helps. Any questions, as always, just